Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Wow, that was a wow. Anyway, I got your attention, I think. Welcome to Rotary Club of Toledo. It's great to see everyone here. As we get going today, I'd like to ask Carol Sobchak to come to the podium and deliver today's reflection and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Carol?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rotary. This invocation is based on one that was given in White Plains, New York, several years ago, and I stole it and tweaked it a little bit, and so now it's ours. We have many things to be thankful for, and I believe one of them is being Rotarians. Let us be thankful for our Rotary leaders who unselfishly give of themselves to guide us in our goals. Let us be thankful for the friendships that are made as we work together. Let us be thankful for being among Rotarians who have different faiths, different goals, different genders, who are all working for the same things. Let us be thankful for our programs that inspire us with wonderful people who are dedicated to their life work. Let us be thankful for being reminded that our own personal good fortune should be shared with others. Let us be thankful for being Rotarians who are reminded that in our busy and sometimes self-consumed lives, that service above self is a wonderful motto to live by. And please join me in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll take mine. I'll leave yours.
Yes. Thank you, Carol. I would like to ask Board Member Roy Cherry to please come to the floor mic and lead us in the four-way test.
Hello? All right. Welcome, everybody. And thought we'd go through the four-way test, so we will repeat after me. First, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Very good. I'll give you guys all an A in honor of George.
Thanks, Roy. Okay, as we begin our meeting today, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Hartman Bogan Financial Planning as this month's sponsor and Rotarian Donna Bogan. So Donna, thank you very much. Do we have any visiting Rotarians in the house? If so, could you please come to the floor mic and introduce yourself? No? Ashley, you're cheating. All right. Ashley Stanger, our area governor, is in the room somewhere. But anyway. Oh, there she is. See? Cheater. Okay. Does anybody have any guests with them today? If so, come to the floor mic.
Hi, President Travis. I'd like to introduce Kim Daines. She's the Director of Advancement at Salvation Army.
Hi, Kim. Glad you could be here. All right. Next, I'd like to ask Karen Stramel to come to the floor mic to remind members of the District Peace Summit that's happening this weekend. Karen?
Okay, fellow Rotarians, I want to encourage all of you, if you have no plans on Saturday, to come to our Peace Summit that is in Elyria, because there's going to be some great people speaking. There's also going to be some awesome workshop topics. Renounce, Denounce, which is a youth violence intervention program. You're Not Hearing Me, an intergenerational dialogue. Cultural wars, disinformation, and interfaith dialogue to transformative partnerships. So again, if you guys don't have plans on Saturday, please come, because I think it's going to be a great day. And we want to have a good showing for Toledo Rotary, because we are one of the sponsors. So thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen. And thanks to the Peace Committee for all the work they're doing as well. Like I said, if you want to take a snapshot of that QR code, and if you can make it, that'd be great. So thanks, everybody. Next up, Ashley Jordan, will you come to the podium for a new member introduction of David Silvis?
Good day, everyone. I'd like to welcome David Silvis. David reigns from Southern California and Burbank. Sorry about yesterday. Works with Danbury Brokerage here in Toledo. He still maintains a brokerage in Beverly Hills. It's David Silvis and Associates. He works with an expertise in historic and architectural luxury properties. Works closely with divorce and probate cases. He attended the University of Southern California and graduated with an MBA. Is currently attending the University of Pittsburgh to acquire his doctorate as well. A member of the Jewish Federation of Toledo. Please forgive me if I say this improperly. The Chabad Lubavitch of Greater Toledo. Toledo Opera, the Northwest Ohio Board of Realtors, the Ohio Board of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors, the prestigious Toledo Club, the Historic South Initiative, and also lives in the Historic South of Toledo. He enjoys viewing real estate in a very worldly way. He's traveled to many countries, Russia, Israel, Romania, Kyrgyzstan, Turkey, Moldova, which I haven't heard of, Hungary, Egypt, and Uzbekistan. He says the less touristy, the better. So he prefers less of the folks with the cameras, I suppose. He does have a sister. Her name is Deborah. He's a fan of Asian and Indian food. Like me, a spicy little meatball. He likes them spicy too. And then his pet peeve is tailgaters on 75. So lay off, folks. Welcome, David. Thank you for joining us in the Glass City. Thank you for being so involved and dedicated. It really means people like you that makes the city shine the way that it does. And being that I myself am not from Toledo, I'm really grateful that you're here too. Being from the gritty city up north, I'll say go Lions, but that's it. So,
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to thank Ashley Jordan from the Toledo Club, Tom Euler, and Keith Burwell, three very important people to me and people that have been very instrumental for me joining the Downtown Rotary Club. I do want to quote just briefly from the four-way test. The third point, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Absolutely, you guys have done that since day one when I've entered the doors here. I'm very grateful for that as a transplant, and I hope I can reciprocate the same to you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashley, and welcome, David. Alec Falkenberg, will you please come to the podium for a membership update?
All right, I only have one fan. This isn't good. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Alec Falkenberg, membership chair. David, first, thank you for joining and welcome. I look forward to serving with you. So with that, I wanted to remind everybody that we do have a membership campaign going on. We are wanting to make this community better. We set out a goal at the beginning of the Rotary year to get 100 new members. We are currently at 54 new members, and we have 4 people. Yes. We have 4 people that are being voted on that will hopefully be approved this week, and then I know we have many, many more people in the process. So first of all, thank you for bringing guests and telling people about our amazing organization here. So like I said, as we work towards 100, again, I want to make it clear that we're not just shooting for that number to reach that number. Our motto is service above self, so we want to make sure that we're serving our community and having the right people join our organization. With that being said, transitioning on, moving forward, this Thursday we are having the opportunity to have a happy hour at one of our members' establishments. So in the honor of service above self, please join me in trying to run that place dry at the Casual Pint. Ooh, that one didn't fall. All right, so
I think the Super Bowl was a little heavy on everyone.
Casual Pint, recover with a couple casual pints. So Thursday, and I will stop talking before I say something goofy. Thank you. right?
Thanks, Alec. Thank you to the membership committee as well. The committee's been working really hard. And, you know, I had a Rotarian from another club coming to me and they said, "You've had how many new members this year?" And I told them. And they said, "What's the secret?" And I said, "The secret is that everybody just needs to bring their friends, because that's who you want to be in a club with anyway." So this club is a reflection of you all. And the quality that you bring, you have to know somebody that has those qualities and that would be a fantastic member as well. So that number of people that have come in this year, that is 100% because of the values you all have and the value you see in Rotary. So keep up the great work because you all are the membership committee. So keep it up, guys. Appreciate it. Pretty short list on the president's remarks this week. We did have the Foundation Advisory Committee meet last week to review the second cycle grants. Happy to say that 14 organizations were approved to the tune of $91,111.57. So that is fantastic news. That will move on to the board and then the foundation for final approval. But assuming that, that means that year to date, we are now at $218,000, I believe, that we have granted to the local and international communities. And we are now entering the third cycle, which I believe we still have about another $45,000 in our budget for the year. So a lot of impact yet to be had, but again, this club is making a massive impact in our community and in our world, and you're all to be commended for it. Thank you. With that, I would like to ask Mark Arrudia to come to the podium and introduce today's speaker, District Governor Jim Duke. Mark.
I only have like 10 minutes worth of comments on this exciting guy. I narrowed it down to a few. It was with great pleasure today that I introduced to the Rotary Club of Toledo our District Governor, Jim Duke. Jim is a member of the Vermilion Rotary Club. He has led his club's membership and finance committees and was his club's president for 2 terms. No one else probably was going to step up. Maybe you didn't recruit. Okay, awesome. During his term, he is awarded the Presidential Citation and every Rotarian Every Year awards. At the district level, he served as an assistant district governor, district conference chair, and chief of staff. Jim supports the Rotary Foundation and is currently a Paul Harris Fellow +4. Jim is a strong believer in the environment. He has made this one of his top priorities. District Governor Jim has moved forward an environmental project in our district on Catawba Island, where I have a house. Thank you. Under his leadership, MESA, or Medical Supplies and Equipment Abroad, has many accomplishments, including acquiring a new truck and moved over 40 truckloads of supplies to Ukraine. The district had international projects in the Caribbean, Mexico, and other parts of Central America. Jim spent most of his life growing up here in the Toledo area, which I learned a little bit more, Whitmer area, West Toledo, and Sylvania. And him and his wife, Christine, moved to Vermilion several years ago. He enjoys activities such as golf, boating, and travel. Recently, on a trip to Vermont, Jim hiked up Camel Hump, the 3rd largest peak in Vermont. Please help me give a warm Rotary welcome to our district governor, Jim Duke.
Yeah, it's great to be here. You know, as was mentioned, I used to live in this area, lived in Sylvania for quite a few years, probably over 20 years. I was just back the other day, and I'm surprised how much this area has changed just in the last 10 years. You know, I went by the Westgate area, and that has really changed over there. I almost didn't recognize it. Even downtown, it's amazing just in what a little 10 years will do to a town. When I came up today, I came up 75 north to get to Toledo. And I have to say, it was very refreshing to come up 75 north and not see any orange barrels. Because I can tell you, I've been seeing orange barrels for the last, I don't know how many years. But it looks like they shifted the orange barrels over to 475-23, is that right? So I think when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be a great system. When I moved from Toledo area to Vermilion, it was a change. It was a big change for me. You have all your friends, everybody you know, you have a routine, you do things. Then all of a sudden you go to a small town and you don't know anybody. And I sort of felt like a fish out of water a little bit. But I wanted to be connected to Vermilion, but I didn't really know how. How do I get connected to Vermilion? And my neighbor, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, would you like to join Rotary?" And I said, "What's Rotary?" Nobody knows what Rotary is, right? It's the best secret I've ever heard of. So we talked for a little bit, and it seems like Rotary might be just the ticket, It's like, this might be it right here. So I joined Rotary and started to do a few service projects in Vermilion. People started to know me. I started to know them. And pretty soon, I actually felt a connection to Vermilion. Just because of Rotary. Rotary made me feel connected to Vermilion. But I have to tell you, it's not the service that keeps me with this organization. It's the fellowship. Because the Vermilion Rotary Club was like a second home to me. I was just comfortable there. Everybody knew me, I knew them, talked about family and friendship. It just made me feel warm inside. And here was the strange part. The club president was encouraging members to go visit other clubs. And I thought, why in the heck would I do that? And so, I was sitting out there at lunch one day and I started asking people in our club, "Hey, you guys go visit other clubs?" And we don't do that here. So being a new Rotarian, I was sort of torn, right? Nobody in the club is visiting other clubs, but the club president is saying, "Hey, go visit other clubs," right? So being a new Rotarian, I've decided I'm going to go visit another club. So real quick story here. So I go down the road to our Huron Rotary Club. It's only about 10 minutes down the road. And I decided I'm going to go visit their club. And I have to tell you, I was sort of nervous. Being a new Rotarian, visiting a new club, didn't know anybody in there. And I walk in the door, and it was sort of similar to what you have out here. You had a welcoming table. You had a couple people sitting behind the table welcoming you as you come in. So I come in the door, and "Hi, I see you're not from our club." I said, "No, I'm from Vermilion." And right off the bat, they made me feel welcome. So far, so good. They gave me the lay of the land, here's the food, get in line here, yada, yada, yada. And I said, okay. So I got in the food line, and I'm waiting there to get my lunch. And this guy taps me on the shoulder, and he says, "You're not from our club, are you?" I said, "No, I'm from Vermilion." He said, "Come to our table and have lunch with us." I said, "Thank you, I will." And I did. And it was a great lunch, and they made me feel really welcome. And the club acknowledged me. And when I left there, I felt good. I felt, wow, this is just as good as Vermilion. So it encouraged me, because the experience was so good, it encouraged me to go visit other clubs and other clubs. And the experience was the same, exactly the same. It's that Rotary fellowship. We all feel the same way about each other. That's why I stay with the Rotary organization. At the end of the year, they said, "You got to go to the district conference." I said, "What the heck is the district conference, right?" So I go trucking down to outside of Columbus to district conference down there. Met people from all over, Lima, St. Mary's, Mansfield, Ashland, all over. And I thought, wow, at the end of my first Rotary year, it's like hitting the lottery. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to just join a small club, get to know a few people in town, and wow, it's like the floodgates opened up. Because we're an international organization. It was great to be a part of that. I hope everybody out there feels the same way about Rotary that I do. Rotary has an action plan. And I don't want to confuse that with a strategic plan. Some clubs have a strategic plan. You probably have one, don't you? Vermilion has a strategic plan. And I asked them about a month ago where it was. And they said, we don't know. We don't know where our strategic, we didn't even know we had one. Well, that's what happens with strategic plans sometimes. I know Toledo's probably different. Probably look yours up right now, right? So anyhow, Rotary has an action plan. It's the same for every club. Where strategic plan is yours. It's your plan for your club, tailored just for you. Rotary's action plan is universal. No matter what club you go to worldwide, the Rotary action plan is the same. And I want to talk about that just briefly. And so this increase your impact, expand your reach, enhance participation, and the ability to adapt. It sounds simple, but what is increasing your impact? What does that really mean? They're talking about service, because when you do a service project, you're making an impact in someone's lives, the community, and the environment. As I believe it was the Van Wert Rotary Club, they had a park real close to where they met, and the park wasn't being used because the swings, the slides, all the stuff that people want to go and use when they go to the park was in disarray, was unusable. And all they did was round up the troops. They went down there and they cleaned it all up and they made it usable so people could start enjoying that park again. And by doing that, they made an impact in their local community. I went through another town to get to Upper Sandusky, and I noticed on the light posts, they had pictures of veterans. You've probably seen in a small town, they get the pictures of veterans on the light posts. But what I didn't know is once I got to the Rotary Club, this Rotary Club actually did that. So by doing that, they made an impact in their local community. Mansfield planted 70 trees last year. By doing that, they made an impact in their environment. Bucyrus has a great backpack program. By doing that, they make an impact in a child's lives. I know Toledo, I know you're doing great things here. I know you're making an impact in the environment or someone's lives. So when Rotary says, increase your impact, they're talking about service. When Rotary says expand your reach, I talked about that, going to different clubs. It can start just by doing that. And you're very fortunate here. Look around your area. I was just at Reynolds Corners, Maumee, Waterville, Bowling Green, Oregon Northwood. There's a bunch of Rotary clubs around here. Call them up, partner with them. Hey, you want to work together? Expand your reach. It was mentioned, in my bio that Rotary has shipped 40 containers of much needed supplies to Ukraine. By doing that, we're expanding our reach and we're making an impact. We're partnering with an area of Mexico in a water harvesting project, increasing our reach, expanding our reach, increasing our impact. So first two, increase your impact, expand your reach. We're an international organization. Enhancing participation. The data shows that people that participate, they hang around Rotary. They don't want to leave. Think about it. You're doing service projects. You're on a committee. You're engaged. You're just having a lot of fun. You're not going to leave Rotary. You're not even thinking about leaving Rotary. But think about just the opposite. You don't come to any meetings. You don't do any service projects. You're not on committees. Pretty soon after a year or two, you just leave Rotary because Rotary just wasn't for you. Well, it's not that Rotary wasn't for you, it's just that you didn't participate. So that's why Rotary encourages everybody to participate, because if you participate, you won't leave. Increase your impact, expand your reach, participation. The fourth one, the ability to adapt, by far is the hardest. It's like pulling off a Band-Aid. Who wants to do that, right? So I just mentioned in the last 10 years, look how the Toledo area has changed. It's amazing how fast change happens. I was sitting around a table the other day, and I don't know what made me look at this, but people were wearing smartwatches. Everybody had a smartwatch on. I thought, what the heck's going on around here? Last time I knew, everybody had regular watches, and everybody's got smartwatches. Then my wife said, hey, I'm going to get a smartwatch. I'm like, what? So I had to go out and get a smartwatch, right? So I didn't want to be left behind. So that's how our world's changing. Smartwatches, smartphones, electric cars, quantum computing, artificial intelligence. There's problems today that our computers can't solve. When quantum computing comes available, they'll solve those problems within seconds. They're saying that we're on the verge of a revolution in our world. In the next 10 years, we're going to see a lot of change. We as an organization, we can't afford to be left behind in that change. So we have to change with the rest of the world. So does Toledo need to change? I don't know if Toledo needs to change or not. Only you can answer that. So I'm asking each club just to take a look at your club, see if you're keeping pace with the rest of the world. You know, I'll talk a little bit about membership, and congratulations on your membership so far this year. I like that. You know what that is? That's participation right there. So, you know, it's sort of like we always talk about membership. Why is membership so important? You know, I was just talking to Chuck just 15 minutes ago, but there's a downward trend in our district as far as it comes to membership. I've been telling all the clubs that in the last 10 years, we've lost 1,000 members. 1,000 in the last 10 years. What I didn't know that it's actually higher than that, because I was at the Montpelier Club a couple weeks ago. Dave Perkins was there, and he said 20 years ago, we had like 4,800 or change, something like that, which means we've lost 2,000 members in the last 20 years. I know Chuck just mentioned there was quite a few members when you were governor, but the trend is going in the wrong direction is what the point I'm trying to make here. And so, will we be here as a district in 10 years? Sure. 20 years? If that trend continues in 20 years, you know, we won't be here as a district. I can tell you that'd be a sad day for me. And what happens is this. Toledo, you're doing a fantastic job bringing in members. And as I've visited clubs this year, this is what's happening. Clubs tell me, hey, we brought in 5 members. You know, like these smaller clubs, if you're a 30 or 40 member club and you bring in 5 members, that's a pretty big deal for you. So they'll come and tell me, hey, we brought in 5 members. We brought in 6 members. And what I always do before I go visit the club, I like to see where they stand with membership. I don't look at how many people they brought in. I look at the net, because you actually lose members every year too, right? And all those clubs that told me that they brought in 5 or 6, they're actually even or negative for the year. Because here's what happens. You're bringing somebody to your club, usually bring them up to the stage, I'm guessing, go through a little ceremony, give them a pin, give them a certificate, and welcome them to your club. So everybody out there knows how many people have come into your club. 5, 10, 50. But how many people have left? Because you don't know that. Normally when people leave, they just email the board, and the board says, okay, you're done, and they take them off the books. So sometimes it's hard to keep track of how many people actually left. So that's why keep track of how many people you've left. So you might have brought in 50, but I don't know how many people you've lost, because once again, Rotary is really data-driven. So when they looked at the data for the last 10 years, the average club has lost about 12% every year. Attrition. Leave, move, pass, whatever. There's a bunch of reasons why people leave, but the average attrition rate for a club in our district is 12%. So if you got 225 members, that's a lot of members, right? So that's why I'm asking every club to watch your attrition. And Toledo Club is somewhat unique because I've asked every club to have a net +2. Seems like a really small number, doesn't it? When you just brought in 50. It's really not, because if you got a 30-member club, to bring in a net +2, that means if they bring in 2, they can't lose any. And we already know they're going to probably lose 3 or 4, which means they've got to bring in 6 just to have that net +2. So if every club brought in a net +2, we'd have 120 gain this year. So that's my ask of all the clubs. Just be aware of how many you've lost compared to how many you've brought in. And I know you're doing a heck of a job bringing in 50. That's a heck of a number. I would say the other number, but I guess that'd be fine for that if I said the hell number. That's the hell of a number. Oh, Is that the swear jar right there? Boy, you guys are doing. We can write governor on it. See, okay. Okay. Well, I want to thank the Toledo Club for having a succession plan. So it's a big deal. I mean, I know the Toledo Club. I know Mommy Club I was just visiting at. They've got a pretty good succession plan. It's pretty healthy. They've got a president-elect identified pretty early. And when you do that, when that president-elect finally becomes president, well, they'll be a better president because they've had years to prepare. And your club will be a better club for that. And you think it's no big deal, but when I was club president 2 years in a row, that's not because I wanted to. That's because we didn't have a president to follow me. So it took me about a year to get a succession plan in place. So there's clubs today, believe it or not, there's clubs today, right now today, that don't even have a president-elect identified. Those clubs are going to struggle. So, I can say that I want to thank the Toledo Club for having a succession plan, have our president-elect identified, and where's he at? Oh, there you are. So, and he's going to be attending All Ohio Pets, which is a great event, so looking forward I'll see you then. So, thank you for doing that. I'd like to talk just briefly about our foundation and our grant process. And our grant process actually is pretty successful this year. You hear about local grants and global grants. Tim's the guy with global grants. Probably knows more about global grants than I do. But local grants, we actually moved up the deadline to June 30th of last year. And we moved up to June 30th for a reason. Because once the committee actually looks at those grants, approves them, then we ask Rotary for some money so they can, yada, yada, yada. It takes about a month and a half to 2 months to actually get that money from Rotary into clubs' hands. So the sooner that we can petition Rotary for that money, the better off we are. Make a long story short, our district gave out about $62,500 in local grant money to clubs in our district. That's clubs in our district that our district gave out. And that money came from us. So if you gave to the foundation, if you gave to the Rotary Foundation, part of that money comes back to us, our district, that we can share with our clubs in the form of grant money. So that's why giving to our Rotary Foundation is important, because without that foundation money, we wouldn't have any local grant money to give out. And I mentioned earlier that we're partnering with an area of Mexico for rain harvesting. The money that we're using for that actually came from the Rotary Foundation as well. That money came back to us to use. So when you give to the foundation, it's almost like you're giving to yourself, because that money comes right back here. So we can use that in our district, and we can use it for global grants. So when I say, give to the foundation, I highly encourage that. And you know what's nice about the foundation? There's no right or wrong amount as far as what you give to the foundation. $25, $50, $250,000. Sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? Well, we do have people in our district that do give that large amount of money. So I highly encourage people to give to the foundation, when they have the opportunity. As mentioned about the environment is important to me. I like every club to be involved in the environment in some way. I know it's mentioned on the Catawba Island, we're looking at that problem. I didn't see Mike Noble. Is he here today? Don't see him? So you're very lucky. Our district is very lucky to have Mike Noble. He's a part of your club. He's in our district environmental chair. It's just, I can't think of anybody better to be an environmental chair than Mike Noble. So I'm asking clubs that if you would like to get involved in the environment and you don't know how, contact Mike Noble. So you've got an upper hand there. You can just see him one day at your meeting and say, hey, Mike, help us get involved in the environment. Because, I talk about Rotary being in the future. We're going to be here 10, 20 years from now. What's our environment? It's our planet. We should try to take care of it if we want our planet to be here 10 or 20 or 30 years from now. When I end my speech, my talk, I always end it with a sensitive topic. It's you don't hear people talk about too much. It's mental health. Our Rotary International President, Gordon McAnally, is really high on mental health for his own personal reasons. And post-COVID, there's a lot of depression in our country right now. And I just read that the Surgeon General is saying that depression might be the next pandemic in our country, just because there's so much depression. You know, we're stretched in 1,000 different directions. You know, we got work, family, soccer practice, this practice, want to go here, there. It just seems like we're just stretched to the max. And we're crying out inside. We need help. We want help. And you know what? When somebody asks us how we're doing, what do we say? We're doing fine, right? Yeah, we're doing okay, even though we're not doing okay. Because for some reason, we view asking for help as a weakness. You know, we'll ask somebody to help us put up a fence or paint a bedroom or whatever. We'll ask anybody to do anything except for helping us mentally. You know, when I first started my year as district governor, my wife said to me, she said, I suppose it's going to be Rotary 24/7, right? I said, absolutely not. It's going to be Rotary 23/7. You know, but all kidding aside, I'm asking everybody to try to maintain a balance in your life, especially today. And if you need help, don't be afraid to ask for it. And remember, if we're going to help others, we have to learn how to help ourselves too. You know, it's easy to stand up here and talk, but the part that I like the most is the very end, like right now, because I like to engage the audience for people to ask me questions. A group this size, I know it's somewhat difficult. I know when I was at Lima, the group was about this size. I didn't have too many questions there, but I can tell you when I go to the smaller clubs, like the 30 members, 35 members, those smaller clubs like that, I get a lot of questions. It's pretty engaging. It's a lot of fun. So I usually have a plant out there somewhere. I said, if nobody asks me a question, make sure you ask me a question. And I didn't get a plant. I didn't get a plant today, so there's nobody out there that's going to ask me a question. So, does anybody have a question?
I'll plant myself.
Okay, great.
Thank you for being here. Very inspirational. So what drew you to the environment? It sounds like maybe that's your top priority. How'd that start for you?
Well, as you know, Lake Erie's right out there, right? So I remember when the algae bloom, when we first started getting in the big water quality for Lake Erie. That sort of kicked me off for my environment right there. I mean, how important that lake water is to us. And I was really involved in like a lot of the water testing initially. I know Janita Douglas in your club, she's really big into that. So that kicked me off actually as far as the environment. And you know, you don't know what you don't know. So the more I got into the environment, the more I learned about it, you know, carbon footprint and all that, I realized it's a pretty big deal. And so if we can just help out, if you just helped out in a small way, you helped out in a small way, and we all helped out in a small way, that turns into something really big, right? So, and I meant what I said. So if we want to be here in the future, not as only as an organization, but our planet, you know, we need to start doing stuff now. So that's sort of how I got kicked off for me is the Lake Erie water. Thank you for that question.
I'll ask one.
Okay.
It's one thing to be a member, it's another thing to be engaged. What kind of strategies have you seen across the district where you get people who are really impassioned, new people to Rotary, really impassioned in the work of Rotary?
So you know, sometimes clubs have that exit interview, like when they go to leave, they find out why you're leaving. Well, I'm asking clubs to have like an entrance interview. What are you interested in? What would you like to do? And find out what they're interested in and get them started in that right away. Because the size of your club, I'm guessing you've got quite a few committees and organizations. I'm guessing there's probably something for everybody to do in your organization. So that's what I'm encouraging clubs to do. Don't let them come in, sit down right away and start doing nothing. Get them going, you know, right off the bat. But have a conversation with them right at the very beginning and see what their interests are.
I'll just make a comment. Thank you for sharing that concept on membership. I was co-chair of membership many years ago with Zach Isaac, and it was a year that fortunately all our members were bringing guests. I said guests equals new members, and that in fact was the case. And so we ended up that year, we moved from number 11 in the world to number 10 in the world out of 30-some thousand clubs. So that was a big celebration. I think we hit about 450 members. Now, what I learned, however, is historically, this club had been over 500 members years ago. And I think we went down to about 200 with COVID. Now we're back up to, I think, 300 plus. So I think perspective is really important. And to your point, what Zach and I were very focused on was understanding, okay, well, we got 40 new members, but we were losing, you know, easily, potentially that, right? So very good perspective, and thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Sure.
I spent a few years in Britain, and if you ask a Brit, how are you? He says, not bad. And in US, you ask people, when you ask them, how are you? Usually they don't answer how they feel. But a few years ago, I adopted a new method. Somebody asked me, Riaz, how are you? I said, I'm not sure yet.
That's pretty good. First, thank you for all these questions. I mean, that's the part I really enjoy.
Hi, I'm Alana Machenko. I represent a little organization that helps Ukraine here locally in Toledo. I want to thank you for all you do, and thank you for your transparency, first of all, in describing the work you do. You brought a very crucial topic as to mental health treatment and upcoming danger of depression. Would you please recommend, in your opinion, maybe there's a blanket rule for those self-care rules that helps you in particular? And I know there is a lot of resources that can reach out. I would like to hear your opinion. Thank you.
So you want my opinion on how we should all reach out if we're
Yeah, what helps you to take care of your mental health?
So don't keep anything in. That's how I don't know if this is going to answer your question or not, but don't keep anything in. Sometimes talk to a stranger or talk to somebody. Sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger than it is to someone you know. But I find that if I vent, vent. And I won't tell you who was venting on me the other day, but somebody was venting on me the other day. And after they were done venting, I said, "Do you feel better now?" "Yes, I feel a lot better." So it does. It feels good to let it out. It feels good to let your emotions out. It just feels good to just let it out. It just like it's letting off steam, sort of say. That's what works for me.
Thank you.
My question is also regarding mental health. I'm our Rotary's mental health professional, one of many. And I really appreciate you talking about it. Beyond funding through the foundation, which I know that our Rotary funds certain programs that address mental health, what are some of the other Rotaries doing specific to mental health for their members? So, like I said, I know that we fund mental health services in the community to a degree, but what kind of things are other Rotaries doing to discuss mental health amongst members and for the support of fellow Rotarians? So
I'm glad you brought that up, because when I talk to other clubs about mental health, they're like, the deer in headlights look. It's like they're shocked. And I can tell you they weren't doing anything for mental health until I brought that up. So what I'm just doing right now is bringing awareness to everybody that there is an issue about mental health in our world, in our organization. And as long as there's awareness, I think that's going to help out. So what are other clubs doing? I don't know if they're doing anything, but I do know, but before I talk to them, they weren't doing anything. Whether they're doing something now or not, hopefully they are. But my goal is just to bring awareness to everybody about the mental health.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll ask one more question around the issue of polarization in the world and in our country. We seem to be really struggling with this. Are you seeing strategies in which people who have taken polar positions are finding common ground?
My wife and I talked about that. Oh boy, that's a sensitive subject right there. I don't see us making any. I'll be honest with you. I'm not cynical. I hope this isn't a cynical answer, but I don't see us making a lot of headway in that regard. I don't like to talk about politics or anything like that. I like to stay relatively neutral in our organization. So I probably don't have a really good answer for that. I don't have a good answer for that one. But no, I don't see us making any headway per se.
Well, Chuck, we maybe haven't talked about this yet, but there is something just forming up right now, and it's called Neighbor to Neighbor, and that's something that's being sponsored. It's presented by St. Michael's Church in Toledo, Ohio here, and David Brooks is going to be brought in October, who's a syndicated columnist, level-headed kind of guy. He just came out with a book about really getting to know people, understanding them. Some of you read this book. I just read it. And it's about neighbor to neighbor, meaning that, hey, we're neighbors. A lot of us have different political views, but we're neighbors. And we're going to be neighbors. We're neighbors before the elections. This year in particular, we'll be neighbors after the election. And, you know, when you get to know somebody and they're a neighbor, you know, that's a different relationship than getting pushed off into your corners and holding on fast to particular views, right? So I think there's some opportunities for that kind of thinking about let's be neighbors, you know, and one of the ideas that's being worked on is to have yard signs that say, love your neighbor, and just put those in the yard this fall, you know? So anyway, more to come on that, but something, I'm kind of hopeful about that idea, and I'm on the steering committee for it, so anyway, thank you.
You know, it's mentioned that we have the Peace Conference coming up this Saturday. You know, real briefly, I think I got a few more seconds here. I'm not going to speak at the Peace Conference. I only have a few minutes at the podium, but what I was going to say is, you know, my wife and I were talking the other day about peace. You know, when you look at around the world, how much conflict there is around the world, and even with our own borders, you know, are we really at peace in our United States? So we had to ask ourselves the question, will we ever see peace in the world? Will we see peace in the world? And when my wife and I talked about that, we were sort of skeptical, like we weren't sure we were ever going to see peace. But I can tell you, how do you start? How do you start to get peace in the world? Well, you start slowly by having a peace conference. Something like that, as small as it is, it can build momentum. And that's what we're hoping for when we have a peace conference. Have one, have another. People that attend that, they tell 100 people, they tell 100 people. You know, that's how it starts. So you can start with a peace conference. So I hope people attend this weekend.
How about Rotaract and like what do you see the role of Rotaract is in association with other clubs?
So I wish Rotaract was stronger in our district, actually. As you know, we have a pretty good Interact organization within our district. We have quite a few Interact clubs. We only have a few handful of Rotaract clubs. So my goal, my vision would be that we have more Interact or Rotaract clubs. I hope we can work in that direction, actually. Because I think they do play a role. Because, you know, I didn't want to break off into public image or anything like that. And so you have a lot of great stories here in Toledo, and you want to tell those stories, right? And you tell those stories by, everybody says, well, put it on Facebook, put it on Facebook. Well, you know, that's not it. That's not the answer, because as I go to all these clubs, it's, well, we're not on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on TikTok, we're on all these other social media platforms. And that's something that Rotaract can actually bring to our organization, because I can guarantee you that most of the Rotaract members are probably not on Instagram or Facebook. And so I started talking to more people, and that's something we're lacking in our district right now, is social media, as far as Instagram. I mean, well, you can probably tell me more than I can tell you, right? So that's what I think Rotaract can actually bring to our organization, is connect with more people through social media that I don't even know about. So get on that. Yeah. You're probably on it already, huh? You know, because Facebook, you know, it's like you post something on Facebook, and then a bunch of Rotarians, you know, say, we like it, but that's inward facing, right? So public image is outside. It's like your neighbor, somebody at the grocery store, somebody at the post, it's outside of our organization, that public image. Because we think as long as we post it on Facebook and everybody says, yeah, we like it, that we're getting the word out. We're not really getting the word out at all. So that's what we need to work on in our district, especially, is outward public image. I sort of got off onto a tangent there, but sorry about that. So I always end every single presentation with just 2 letters. And I'm not sure how it's going to go over here because we're so close to the Michigan border, but OH. Oh, there you go. Not too bad.
You may get death threats afterwards, but no. You think politics are divisive? My Lord, man. It's interesting that the topic of politics and obviously how polarized everything is now, I truly believe Rotary is a solution for it. Because I know people in this room right now that would literally choose guns and knives over politics with each other, and yet they're sitting at the same table having lunch and enjoying it. And you know what? It's reminding everybody that we're all human, and maybe we don't agree on how we get somewhere, but we're all trying to get there. And I think when I first gave my first address as president, I mentioned something to that effect. All of us think differently. All of us have different paths. All of us have different belief systems. But you know what? If everybody can pick the common item that we're all looking at, that we're all trying to solve, in this case, Rotary, we all believe if we all put in our inputs, we're going to be better for those differences, not worse. So that is the power of Rotary to me. Jim, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for the leadership in the district. We appreciate everything that the district does with us and for us. I do have a few things to give you. First and foremost, a little gift from the club for being here today. And knowing your passion for the Great Lakes, it's got a little bit of a...
By the way, I can tell it's not bourbon, right?
It is not bourbon. You delayed it and I drank it. If you'd have been here in October. We'll also give you a copy of Historical Tales of Toledo, which is authored by past President Clint Mock. So we appreciate you being here. And also, we'll be making a donation in your name to the Polio Plus campaign. So thank you for being here today. Again, thank you for everything you do for the district. Okay, as a reminder, we will not be having a meeting next week in honor of President's Day, so feel free to show up, but we ain't gonna be here. This Thursday, though, we do have the happy hour at Casual Pint. I hope everybody can make it out. Casual Pint's a great little location, so definitely join us on Thursday for that. We will be back here on Monday, February 26th. We will be joined by Dave Briggs, who is a sports reporter for the Toledo Blade. He has asked that people think of questions. He wants a lot of back and forth dialogue and conversation, so start thinking sports and start thinking questions. We do have 2 committee meetings this afternoon. Membership will be meeting in Summit A. Program will be meeting in Summit B. You guys are doing it, but keep doing it. Go out, create hope, make an impact, spread the gospel of Rotary. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. We're adjourned.